So when is brandishing not brandishing? When is brandishing something else? Well, that something else is called defensive display of your firearm. And that happens hundreds of thousands of times a year as armed citizens bloodlessly prevent a violent crime from taking place by merely showing a firearm. But how do you know you're in that zone? Well, first, what is brandishing? Well, pretty much brandishing is misbehaving with a firearm. You're pulling it out, you're waving it around, you're pointing it at people that are not a threat to you, and making them afraid. That's brandishing. You're misbehaving with your firearm. Defensive display is you are pretty sure you're under threat of great bodily injury or death, and it's that time between the time you realize that is a potential and you go to access your firearm. It could be as simple as, if you're concealed carrying, removing your cover to let the other person know that you're armed at that time, which is sufficient in some cases to cause a person to back off. It's also poses a risk where the person doesn't care and now is going to rush you in some fashion to try to take your gun. And if that happens, keep in mind that anyone who goes for your gun, it's the same as going for their own gun, and you are totally justified in stopping that with deadly force. But what about defensive display? Well, consider that as you have now put your hand on your firearm to let the person know that you're serious. You've drawn your firearm and you're down in the ready position where the barrel is not pointing at them to let them really know. Or you're taking them at gunpoint. That means you're pointing the gun at them, letting them know if they continue, you will shoot. Now, you don't have to say those words, right? But you've now taken them at gunpoint. You're saying, stop, don't come any further. I'm not going to let you hurt me. I'm not going to let you whatever. If they continue at that point, then you must shoot. So everything from the time you recognize that you might have a threat to the time you go to draw, ready, and not shoot, that's in the category of defensive display of a handgun or of a weapon. And then shooting, of course, is stopping the threat, because the threat is chosen not to stop when they see that they are now at risk of serious bodily injury or death if they continue to be a threat. Now, I will pose this as a caution. If you do a defensive display of your firearm and the threat goes away or stops, the instant that they are clear of you, that means they are no longer a threat to you in any way, you really should get on the phone, dial 911, and report that you have been threatened and that you had to stop the threat by displaying your firearm. That makes you the first caller, makes you the victim. If the bad guy, and this is how they do it today, if the bad guy gets on their cell phone and says, some crazy guy just waved his gun around at me for no reason, now they're the victim and you're the bad guy. It sucks, but whoever calls 911 first wins. And then lawyers get involved. Language matters, words matter. So when you do a defensive display of your firearm to a threat, you never say the word threaten them. You're not threatening them. They are threatening you. You are warning them. Sir, Your Honor, whatever, to your attorney. If you need one, the cops show up. I drew my pistol and I warned them to stay back. I warned them not to come any further because I felt they were going to hurt me. So when you do a defensive display of your firearm, it is for the purpose of warning the person not to continue being the threat that you feel that they are. In other words, bad people threaten, good people warn. So the things to think about in this scenario about defensive display is that it is the step before you shoot. The things that you hear people say, never draw your gun until you're certain you're going to have to shoot. Well, that's called a fast draw contest, right? If you wait that long, you're already behind the curve. Stuff is stepping off and going down right now, and that's not to your advantage. But this also means that you have to use a great deal of judgment on what you consider a threat. Just because you see some sketchy person walking towards you down the street doesn't mean that they are in fact a threat that warrants defensive display of a firearm or any weapon. A fear that I have is because the behavior of a homeless person who's aggressively panhandling is the same behavior as a bad guy who's trying to interview you for violent assault, violent attack, especially at night. So I get concerned sometimes that I might misjudge. And so I think about that. I really focus on body language. I try to make sure I maintain distance. I keep eyes on. I look for a wingman. I do those kind of things if I'm in an area that has those kind of people in it or those kinds of circumstances. But you don't draw your firearm because somebody pisses you off, right? Somebody talks about your mother or some other kind of silliness, right? That's not the grounds for this defensive display of a firearm at all. Now, a subject that warrants some consideration now is the phenomenon of road rage. I would just say this: stay in your fucking car, right? Don't get out of your car. Don't put your car in a place that allows you to be blocked in by the person who's doing road rage. If you're on a road, continue to drive. Don't pull over because someone is saying pull over, right? Don't stop your car. Stay in your car if it has to be stopped, like at a red light or a stop sign or something. Drive your car to safety if you can do that. Don't get out and engage someone in conversation if that person is angry. Don't get out of your car if they're smashing your car with a hammer or bumper stick, a bumper jack or whatever. All they're doing is damaging your property. If your car can move, move your car. Just drive away. They're out of their car, you're in your car, drive away. Now, if they try to get in your car and attack you, now you can do defensive display of a firearm to warn them to stop and move back. Way too many people get out and want to bump titties in a road rage situation, and most of the time that doesn't end well for either party. Now let's talk about a tactic that bad guys use to get you to stop, and it's called bumping, where someone will bump your car and that's supposed to cause you to stop. Well, before you stop your car, make sure you stop it in such a way that you cannot be blocked in. Make sure that before you exit your car that you've surveyed the person, or if you don't want to get out of your car, if your car is drivable, drive it to a public place, a more public place, especially at night. And if they want to chase you down or yell at you to stop, you don't have to. You don't have to, right? You can call 911 and say you're being followed by an unknown car and you're afraid and you're at such and such a location. The point is, if you're in your car, stay in your car and keep moving if you can keep moving. So those are my thoughts on the subject of, is it brandishing or something else? Defensive display is what it is. And there are about 3 or 4 states now that have defensive display actually encoded into law. Arizona, Florida, I think Michigan are 3 that come to mind. And several other states are trying to actually put that into law so that it makes it very clear that under what conditions you can draw a firearm to warn a person away. So, if you have any thoughts, questions, post them down below. Love to hear your comments. If you like this content, feel free to subscribe. I'd love to have you in the community. And as always, thanks for watching. Carry on.